Welcome back to the Aftermatch with Kirst Beav. Yes, so we know we're a little bit late. Beav has just had a commentary gig and I've just come straight off television as well. But we wanted to make sure we reacted to this. We had to react to these two teams that have been dropped today. Fascinating that the Springboks always name their team on a Tuesday. Rassie Erasmus has left it to the latest minute, 6 p.m. on Thursday to drop it. But before we get into the box, Beav, the All Blacks team, what were your initial thoughts? Because there's a couple of interesting selections. The big one, Tupou Vaa'i moving back to lock and Simon Parker being named for just his second test at 6 against the Boks.
Yeah, well, my initial reactions, Kirst, was, geez, that's an exciting team. That's a team that I don't think any of us, pundits or even the man at the pub would have picked.
Don't play the game too early, Beav.
Well, exactly. And I don't think any of us would have picked that. But I guess it highlights the fact that they are our All Black coaches for a reason. And when you look at it, you can just sit back in your chair and you go, yeah, I like that. Or, yeah, I can see why they've done that. So, no, overall, very positive about the team that they've unveiled. But, yeah, certainly not one that any of us, I think, could have, high end on heart, named I would have got 1 to 23 right.
Heavy shoulders is what I think I read. Heavy shoulders coming at the Boks. So why have they gone with Simon Parker at 6? That loose trio also very exciting with Artie Wallace and now Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what it tells me is Simon Parker was always their man. When you think about what he's done since Super Rugby, he's got injured towards the end of Super Rugby. He's played half a game for the Taniwha. He's played about 50 or 60 minutes in Buenos Aires, and now he is starting against the world champion Springboks at Eden Park when most of the loose forwards were back on deck, fit and available. So what that tells me is the All Black coaches in Super Rugby saw something from Simon Parker that said, well, not just saw something, saw a lot from Simon Parker that said, he is our man moving forward in the number 6 jersey. And as soon as they got him fit and available, and with everyone fit and available, he was our lock in 6 because there is no bigger test match for Simon Parker or the All Blacks right now than the Boks at Eden Park.
It's an incredible rise. It's an incredible story, much like Wallace Atiti's year last year. But Fabian Holland has played like hundreds and thousands of minutes in 2025. Is it a bit unfair on him that he now goes back to the bench when he's been one of the All Blacks' best?
No, I don't think it's unfair on Fabian. I think he's had a wonderful, both Highlanders and now All Blacks season to date. And look, he's still in the 23. He's still going to have a massive part to play in all of this. Tupou Vaa'i, you've got to remember, was probably New Zealand Rugby's best Super Rugby player at lock. He was incredible. If he wasn't our best, he was in the top 2 or 3. So he goes back into his position where, as I said, during midway through Super Rugby, you thought, well, Barrett and Vaa'i were probably on target to form one of the great locking partnerships in World Rugby. And now we get to see it, don't we? Because the Springboks have a plethora of top quality locks, of course, led by Big Eben. But not surprised. I think it's an exciting team. It's an exciting forward pack. I know we've just touched on, I guess, the two big talking points of Tupou going back into lock and, of course, Simon Parker starting at 6. But also what I like is once everyone is fit and available, you realise the depth we have in the propping stocks and you look at who's on the bench.
Our bench just, in total, our bench looks lethal. Look at those names on the bench. Lomax, Williams, Takiaho, Holland, Karifi, Quintapaya, Damian McKenzie. That is a powerful bench, Beav.
And don't forget young Preston, who the Springboks won't have seen, and you don't want to throw too much on a poor guy that's making his debut at Eden Park against the Springboks. But we all know what his game's built on. And if he gets on...
coming off the bench just like he did for the Crusaders game 1 of Super Rugby.
Well, Kirst, if the game gets open, he is the perfect foil. He's a wonderful support runner, a lot like a lot of our halfbacks in New Zealand Rugby. But no, let's talk about the bench. When you think of Tossie and Lomax, it's not a necessity to come on, I don't think, as a prop and be this, game-changing athlete or anything like that. But if you can do both, if you can scrum and you can prop and that's what we've got there. And I think it's just a wonderful looking bench. You mentioned Takiaho, and also obviously Fabian Holland. And I like the Karifi factor. For me, that signals straight away that nothing's changed. We are about tempo. We are about playing at speed and at pace. And I know that there's probably going to be a relatively new pack on the field by the time Duplessis Karifi comes on. But it's the intent and it's the endeavour that we're obviously going to play with as far as pace of game goes.
One other change to that starting team. No Severis. Amoni Narawa gets the nod under the high ball. Is that the reason why? His aerial game?
Oh, look, we've talked about it long and hard. The aerial game is not just the guy catching it. There's so much around that. For me, that was, I guess, a selection which did surprise me because Amoni has always played well in the All Black jersey, but has well and truly, been on the outer as far as last year, not picked. Then this year, injury replacement, even though he comes in, he plays well against the French. We don't see him again. And you just started to wonder, obviously there's something there that they don't see. But all of a sudden, biggest test of the year, and Amoni is back in there. And, maybe tough on Sevu because he's had a pretty good campaign. That just reminds me I need to change my fantasy team. But
Don't forget.
But no, I like the selection. I like the look of the back line. It's a potent back three. And there's just a lot to like about it. It's not often when there's such conjecture around an All Black team or, there's a few tweaks in it that you're actually thinking, you know what, I'm excited by this. And you look at it and you think, yeah, that makes sense to me. But this time, Kirst, when the news came through today at midday and you saw the team, I was genuinely excited about the team that we've picked to go out and do it for the country on Saturday night.
How did you feel then when you saw the Box team come out just a few hours ago?
Yeah, look, I know Rusty is one of the great rugby minds, without a doubt. 2 times World Cup winning champ, comes up with innovation that no one's ever had. But I must admit, there's a few selections that I saw coming. I think a lot of us read this one like
10
a book.
10 or 15? You read the room?
Yeah, I read the room on this one. And Rusty often has a few tricks up the sleeve. But on this occasion, I saw the LaRue Pollard trick coming a mile back, probably
so
2 weeks ago.
So what's coming in Eden Park then?
Well, a very disciplined, a very orchestrated, constructed attack from the Springboks. 2 great kickers of the ball, two minds that I think are an extension of their coach, and the coach knows what those 2 in particular will dish out for him. There'll be a lot of kicking, a lot of aerial game. They'd have seen, I guess, all the conjecture and hysteria around the high ball from the New Zealand public and the All Blacks. They've been in our country for 10 days. How could you not have heard about a high ball if you've been living in this country for 10 days? So they will know all of that. And it was always going to be obvious. I thought maybe they'd have gone fuff too. The whole axis of 9, 10, 15 and what they bring. I mean, it's not without a few opportunities for the All Blacks. It is a wonderfully strong looking team. You look at that and you go, wow. But there'll be times there where I think the All Blacks, they've had 2 weeks to work out how are we going to nullify kicking games. Well, you try and disrupt their ball in the first place, and then you go after their ruck, and if it's a little bit disjointed at time, or if they set the caterpillar and you sort of can get away with coming in, maybe not square on the gate, but a little bit from the side, and you upset Williams there at halfback, who knows? Maybe you can unsettle them at 9. And what does that do? It puts more pressure on Pollard and what have you. So I think there's it's a wonderfully strong-looking Springbok team, but I'd imagine Razor and his boys will be looking at going, right, let's have a crack here, let's have a crack there.
If we run through a couple of names, I mean, all the big boppers up front. Your favourite prop in the world, Ox and Che is there.
Yes.
The Malcolm Marx, who seems like he's been around for about 40 years. As you mentioned, Eben Etzebeth leading them at line-out time. Their loose trio, Beav, Van Staden, Steph Dutoy and Sia Khaleesi not captaining the side because he wasn't actually going to play this test match, but a late injury to Dupree forced him. And so your mate, Jesse Creel, captains the Springboks for the first time ever. Pretty cool for him. At Eden Park, Beav.
Yeah, look, the last time the Springboks were in Auckland, Jesse got me to take him out on a very poor day fishing with him and Francois Lowe, and I don't know what effect that had on his performance, so he hasn't asked to come again. So
he doesn't want to go on Test Eve tomorrow
no,
on the whitebait net?
he might not have trusted me. It might have felt I might have nudged him into a Waikato River. But no, I mean, isn't it great to have Sia Khaleesi playing? You know, obviously we all want to win the game as far as Kiwis go, but the absolute icon, I guess, of global rugby, his stature in the game is unmatched, and wonderful to see him being there at the big occasion on Saturday night. But for me, Peter Steph to Toit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if he was a Kiwi, the way he would be looked at by his Springboks teammates and by his public is Richie-like. You know, it's the same way and regard that we hold the wonderful Richard McCaw, is how the Springboks and South Africa would see Peter Steph. He's been man of the match, I think, in the two World Cup finals. And, you know, he is just the biggest of big-time players, much like his number 10. He just delivers on the biggest stage. So it's going to be so great to see him in the flesh at Eden Park and to see him go up against our very own superstar in the loose forward trio now.
Just on their other superstar at 10, how they've gone for a 5-3 split on the bench. Sasha Feinberg Nomazulu, the young kid who played against the All Blacks last year over there. How do they use Pollard and Sasha for this match? Because if it's close in the last 10 minutes, you want Pollard on, don't you?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Sasha is, I guess, the future, the new wave. But
Tony
he's also
Brown ball, though.
But he's also right now. Like, he's the finished product right now. You know, yes, he's going to get better the more time he spends in the Springbok jersey, but he is a complete package. But there's just, as I've said earlier on the podcast, Kirst, it doesn't matter who you are or what sport you play or what situation in. When the pressure mounts to the biggest boiling point there is, what do? You go back to what you know and trust. And in Pollard, Russie knows what he's going to get. He's going to get a guy who you would put your life on to kick a goal from wherever in the park you are. And I think we can all admit, yes, we want the All Blacks to win, or South Africans want the Springboks to win, but no one's going to Eden Park expecting the game to be anything more than a one score sort of game and not decided until those final 10 minutes. So Pollard is their man. Sasha is obviously an amazing talent and could one day quite clearly be the best first five in the world. And I'd say that's his trajectory. But right now, with everything on the line, with the records and I guess maybe the final frontier as far as winning at Eden Park for the Springboks, they've gone with the tried and true.
So does he not come off the bench for you, Beav?
It'll have to be
Is it circumstantial, depending on how the game's playing out?
And sorry, have they? I'm trying to remember who's their outsides cover. Have they got?
So they've got Ethan Hooker, who I think has only played one test for the Boks, and Cobus Reiner, who's the halfback cover.
Yeah, well, Sasha, I think, he's talented enough to play other positions. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I can almost swear that I've seen Pollard play at 12 at international rugby too. If it gets to the point, we've obviously seen Owen Farrell do it. There's no reason, with the way that I think the Springboks are going to play, if it is tight, but they do want to get Sasha out there, that maybe Pollard goes out one to the midfield or what have you. Okay,
a couple of quick fire questions from me now that you've analysed the teams. What's the most important matchup, the most important head-to-head in this match? I mean, across the park, there's every position is phenomenal when you look at head-to-heads. But what's the most important?
Because two teams are wanting to play two vastly different styles, and whoever gets to the ability to play their style the most and closest to it will win the game. I think it has to be the 10s. It's a boring answer, but it's Pollard versus Barrett. If it's forward packs, which I think in the end will win some, lose some, cancel each other out, it's going to be Pollard and Beauden Barrett's ability to play the game that suits their team, that gets them in the parts of the field to squeeze the opposition and take the opposition out of their comfort zone. So for the All Blacks, it's taking the Springboks to a pace of game with ball in play to a point that makes them uncomfortable. And for Pollard, it's to put the All Blacks under pressure with his kicking game, with his tactical nous, with his goal kicking, to put the All Blacks in a position where they don't feel comfortable. So for me, it's Pollard versus Barrett.
If there's to be a match winner from the All Blacks, who is it?
Oh,
It's Will Jordan, surely, Beav.
it's Will Jordan, or is it Rieko Ioane? Is it written in the stars for the Auckland boy who hasn't scored a try for a while to just light up Eden Park, his home turf, and the jersey that he made his name? Let's say Rieko. Let's say
You're saying
Rico's
Rico.
time.
I'm saying it's Will Jordan. Will Jordan to light up Eden Park and make sure he's in your fantasy team. What impact, Beav, does the Englishman with the whistle have, Matthew Carley? And I should add to that, TMO.
Well, with all respect,
We're
who's
not
the
seeing
TMO?
cards, are we?
Well, I hope we never hear from the TMO, first and foremost, and respectfully to Matthew. I hope he leaves New Zealand just be known as Matthew and not some infamous referee that had too big a part to play in this blockbuster game. But look, how they ref, it will be interesting. We just talked about the importance of the first fives and how their ability to put their game into, I guess, all over the opposition is going to be crucial to which way this result goes. So too will the way that both teams manage the referee and how he referees things. Things like,
Is so influential, isn't he? Isn't he the Richie McCaw of this day, that Richie used to get the rub of the green when it came to calls? Isn't Sia like that?
You're starting to sound like an Australian saying Richie McCaw got the rub of the green. Jeepers.
I mean, I enjoyed it. But look, Sia is that guy, isn't he? That he'll just say a few things and they'll go, yeah, you're right.
He does have influence, no doubt about it. But I think it's a conscious thing. If you look at Razor's history as coaching, I think he certainly puts time and effort into knowing the referees and managing the referees. So, yep, we've been probably dusty at best. That's probably a nice way to describe our discipline and our cards of late. But again, I don't mind the fact that we had all those cards 2 weeks ago, because what do you reckon's been talked about in camp in the last 2 weeks? It's probably been a little bit of discipline. It's the effect of cards. So I reckon the boys will be on their best behaviour. They'll take Matthew for a beautiful ride around Eden Park, and hopefully get the Englishman in our pocket.
Okay, we'll park that for a minute. We won't even ask you for your prediction, Beef, because it's All Blacks all day, right?
It is. I just cannot wait. Kirst, we're now 2 days away, 2 sleeps away, and the excitement has got to a level which reminds me of
Can you not sleep?
Oh,
Are you not able to sleep at night?
Well, that might be the 2 coffees I had trying to commentate Counties North Harbour tonight. But no,
First one of the season for you, though, Beef.
Yeah, for the Steelers. Well done. But for me, I just feel like we're at a World Cup again. And I just feel like I'm walking into Stade de France and the All Blacks are about to play Ireland. It's that sort of feel, Kirst. It is not. It feels like a knockout World Cup game, the anticipation for this one.
Okay, well, both All Blacks 1-12, obviously.
Yes.
Australia, Pumas, we can't forget, in Townsville. An afternoon match, Beef. That's before the All Blacks play in Townsville. How do you think that one's going to go down?
Well, first of all, clearly, the people that organised the Rugby Championship had no faith in the Stags hosting a Ranfurly Shield Challenge at the same time as the game in Townsville.
I'm watching the Stags.
With the rest of us New Zealanders, but I'll be fascinated. It's a fascinating game. I saw a quote from our former coach Ian Foster talking about how now Australia's got expectation and how they're going to deal with that. They will go into this game favourites, even though the Argentinians did such a great job against beating the All Blacks 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to go Australia. They've had some big blows since we've probably all feasted on their success of late. When you think that Wright's now gone as well, there's a few big casualties, but I think Australia, they're just riding a bit of a wave at the moment, a bit of momentum, and Joe Schmidt, perfect coach to get them back on track and get them refocused for a big performance. And the games that they've been playing of late and the way that they've been playing, I think it's suited well to taking Argentina and Townsville. I've never been there, but they reckon it's a hot spot, and therefore the tempo and the energy of the Australians to get over the Argentinian forward pack.
Argentina dangerous, though, when they're not favourites, and they won't be favourites up there. Aussie 1-12 for me in that match. The other prediction, Beef, does Southland keep the Ranfurly Shield?
Well, of course, after County's got their first victory tonight, they're confident of going down and win the Shield. So, yes, they do. The Stags, with the weight of a nation, minus the Canterbury province, on their backs, will get it done. I mean, just for our international viewers, you might be bored out of your tree with this chat, but for our Kiwis, how good is Saturday afternoon going to be? Stag Park will be chocker. It will be chocker. I couldn't imagine there's a ticket left, and what a special start to the biggest Saturday of all.
It is. It is going to be the biggest Saturday since the Rugby World Cup final a few years ago. That is us, Beav. Keep your comments coming away on the aftermatch. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all platforms that you are. What do you think of this All Blacks team? What do you think of the Box team? And how do you predict this test match playing out? We want to hear from you. We'll do a reaction on Sunday before our next podcast next week. We'll see you then.